From average to dream grade, join us and transform your learning.
On question 2D, all right. So not 2D, particularly question 2. Okay, so we need to understand, and this is the question in paper 1, question 2, where most of the students tend to get very less marks. Okay, and whereas it is very easy to get good marks in question 2, only you need to know that which skills are being tested here and how to approach this question. You just need to know the techniques over here. So the first thing first, we need to understand this question is basically tested on R4 scale, which is about how does writer use language to convey meaning and create effects. Okay, so what you have to uh, be particularly careful about is that you have to decode the writer's intention. Okay, so what, as a student, you're supposed to understand it. Okay, what could be the intention of the writer to particularly have selected these words in his narrative or in his story or in this extract to convey a particular kind of message, okay, implied meaning. Okay, so that is what you need to decode. All right. So, for example, what you have to do is in order to answer, in order to answer question number 2, you should ask yourself the following questions. You have to decode the intention of the writer. Intention. Second thing is you have to look for the connotations. You know, we have talked about connotations multiple times, but just to give you an overall view, what is a connotation? The way the words, the way the colors have shades. Similarly, words have also different shades. For example, I'll use an analogy here to explain it, like dark blue, light blue, sky blue. All these are the color blue, but they have their different shade. They have different intensity. Similarly, the word angry has is showing a sign of being upset or showing a sign of being cross. But when we look for other words instead of angry, then we look at the word infuriated, raged, okay, and then we look at the word incessant. This is one word which comes a lot of time in paper, by the way. Incessant is again a shade of being angry. All right, so connotation. So what, particularly one of your question paper asks you that why has the writer used this word instead of the other one? It's really because of the connotation. You have to decide that why writer has used this word instead of the other one. For example, I'll write this example here. The left, the fielder hurled the ball from leg side straight to the keeper. Okay, so for the straight to the keeper. All right, so you can have this question in paper, right? Why has the writer used the word, say, hurled instead of threw? All right. Okay, so there you have to read the intention of the writer. Okay, and there you have to look at the connotation of the word. All right, and that is what you need to keep in mind. Okay, so in what could be his intention and what is the shade of the meaning? Threw and hurled. All right, they are kind of the same. They might have the same basic meaning, but their shades are different. So hurled is with a more force, okay, and with aiming at something particularly. Okay, so these are the two things, but you have to keep in mind when answering question number 2. Okay, first thing first, intention. All right, the second thing is in connotation. Now, the third thing that you have to keep in mind is there's a question usually has this word. It says impression. What two impressions? What two impressions writer is trying to convey? So you need to understand this word impressions. All right. So impression over here means, the mental image. All right. Mental image that is being created. Okay. So we can link it with the imagery. Okay. So with what imagery is, okay, I'm just going to change, make it a little bigger. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Is it so? Um, Noor, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
All right. Okay. So imagery, mental image is to do with imagery. Imagery, you have what image, what two impressions, what two mental images is writer trying to create. So you have to look for the imagery. So for imagery, you have to go with the words like what sound can I hear, what could I see, what could I, taste. Okay. Um, what could I smell? All right. Any two things would definitely be in that expression because you need to pick up a descriptive part from here, descriptive part of the narrative for this question. So, sound, see, taste, smell, and touch. So, these five things are there. So, you can pick any two mental images out of it to write it down. Okay. So, these are three kind of questions that are there in question number two, which is all about writer's craft. How does writer use language to convey meaning and create effect? Now let's look at few past papers. So together we'll be solving three questions and all question two. Though it is very much essential for you to read text thoroughly. Okay, there's no shortcut to attempt question two other than reading the text thoroughly. All right, and it's not only about reading the text thoroughly, it's about so I'm just writing down directions to attempt question number two. Okay, so the first thing first is read read the text thoroughly. The second thing is interact with the text. Interact with the text. How would you interact with the text? Try to contextualize it. Contextualize it. And by contextualizing, I mean try to visualize and feel what the what the protagonist what the protagonist what the protagonist is going through. Okay, so normally you have a non-linear text in your paper. Okay, there is a bit of mixed up events, and the text would be very emotional. It has lots of feelings. Your character might be feeling different things at different point. So maybe at some point he's feeling overwhelmed. Maybe at some point he's feeling ashamed. Maybe at some point he's feeling cynical, skeptical, all right, or maybe at certain stages of the text he might be feeling triumphed, hopeful, and conquered. So these are the feelings that you need to look into when you're reading text. So try to contextualize it, relate it with it, help yourself to imagine what is happening in the text. And these are the only techniques that will help you to answer question number two. Now let's look at the three papers. Okay, and we don't have a text right now because we're short of time. So you can read the text on your own. Okay, and we'll look at this question here. First one, it says, question 2A, read this extract from text. It says, it is late, but this southern sun is still burning in a flame red sky. Okay, the terrain is flatter here too, with dry, brown, trampled glass. Now, remember I told you that there's a question here. It says, what two impressions does the writer want to convey to the reader in this extract? And now, this is quite a descriptive extract from the text. Okay. Now, this extract is helping you to imagine, helping you to create a mental image in your mind what is happening there. Though you have not read the complete narrative yet, but even then, if you read it, you'll get, okay, what is being created in my mind? What could I see? What could I hear? Or is there anything related to smell? Or is there anything related to touch? Now let's read it again. It is late, but this southern sun is still burning in a flame red sky. Okay, the terrain is flatter here too, with dry brown trampled grass. Okay, so two mental images that this extract is creating. What are those two mental images? Now, can you try to decode what two mental images is this trying to this extract is trying to create in your mind? Yes, Noor? Noor, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, what two images is are being built in your mind? Like it's still burning in a flame. Like it is late, but this southern sun is still burning in a flame red sky. So
Like the sun is like the weather is really hot.
yes, very good. And then the second is the terrain is flatter here too, with dry, brown, trampled grass. It is such a hot part of it is such a hot day, all right, scorching heat. Can you feel that scorching heat? It is late in evening, and normally in evening, the sun usually gets little low in temperature. Okay, the evenings are usually, less warmer than afternoons. Okay, so but this is different, right? This it says it is late, but this southern sun is still burning in a flame. And the used metaphor flame, all right, this still burning in a flame, red sky. Okay, so one is it's a very hot day, it's scorching heat, and the other one is as a result of the
Terrain is
scorching.
flat.
Yeah, as a result of this one, the train is flat, and then you can see the trampled grass, brown. The grass has burned. You might have
It is
seen that.
squashed.
Yes, that's right. Yes, yes, it is. Okay, so this is how you're going to answer this one. Now, look at this one: hot, scorching, intense. Okay, blazing. Or red is for crimson. Okay, like a fire. Okay, and then this is one thing I'm just going to highlight here for you, right? So hot, okay, hot, scorching, okay, extremely hot. That's what we were talking about. And the second impression is related to train. The land is parched, parched. Like use the word scorched earlier. Okay, no rain, lack of water. It's been ages, and the grass you can see that has been trampled. It's been damaged. You know, Okay, so these are two mental images that you can clearly see that are written there. The land has been damaged. It's all flat. Okay. So remember, whenever you have a question with this, you know, demand, okay, with this command word, that what two impressions, so you need to refer to the mental image. Okay. I hope you will not forget it. Link it to the imagery. It easier to answer it?
Yes, it was.
Okay, now let's move on to similar kind of question here. Okay, from another paper. Look at this one. Rishtine, I would like you to unmute your mic as well. Okay, so that we can have a healthy discussion. Okay, now read this sentence from the text. Inside was a sullen fellow of an age that was impossible to determine who glared at Jahan, clearly blaming him for the animal's condition. Okay, inside was a sullen fellow of an age that was impossible to determine who glared at Jahan, clearly blaming him for the animal's condition. Okay, sullen fellow. Inside was a sullen fellow of an age. Okay, that was impossible to determine who glared at Jahan. Okay, sullen, we always refer to someone wild, someone who is very much unfriendly, okay, or maybe is bad tempered. Okay, so one image of is being created is he's a very unfriendly or wild fellow that we're looking at. Okay, clearly blaming him for the Jahan animal's condition, clearly blaming, all right, who glared at Jahan, clearly blaming him for the in animal's condition. Okay, animal's condition. When you use the word condition, animal condition, so it shows that you are actually empathizing with the animal, or that you're concerned about the animal. You are protective about it. Okay, and who glared at Jahan, clearly blaming him. Clearly blaming him also tells us that the judgment. He being very critical about it. Okay, so you can write down any two impressions here. So the first impression is that there is a unfriendly, wild fellow, and the other one who is blaming him is very, very much concerned and protective of the animals. Okay, very concerned about the animals. Okay, all right. Now we go with another question here with a similar kind of technique. There were two impressions. Now we'll read this one here. Yes. Okay, so there we go. Noor, would you like to read this one, please? And I would want you to solve it on your own. Yes, over to you.
Builders delicately build pomegranate towers, a bed of purple tissue fanning out below them in the shape of lotus flowers. Baskets filled with coconuts and mangoes rose vertically, creating sweet smelling sculptures of expensive fruit, hand polished to a waxy gloss.
Okay. Fruiters delicately built pomegranate towers. Okay. A bed of purple tissue fanning out below them in the shape of a lotus flower. Baskets filled with coconuts and mangoes rose vertically, creating sweet smelling sculptures of expensive fruit hand polished to a waxy gloss. So it's a very descriptive one. You can see lots of imagery. It's full of imagery, by the way. So if you have ever seen, the roadside fruit vendors, you will also see that they always build fruit towers like this. You might have seen that वो उन्होंने रेडियो पे या दुकानों पे पूरे पूरे टावर बनाए होते हैं ऑरेंजेस के साथ या ये पोमीग्रेनेट्स के साथ, राइट? तो ये वो वाली इमेज ही लग रही है ना, fruiters delicately built pomegranate towers, a bed of purple tissue fanning out below them in the shape of a lotus flower. ठीक है? And then the baskets filled with coconuts and mangoes rose vertically, creating sweet smelling sculptures of expensive fruit hand polished to a waxy gloss. तब कौन से what two impressions are you getting out of it? Yes. What two impressions are you getting out of it? Ristine, I hope you're understanding it, whatever we're trying to convey. Yes. Let me check if Ristine's mic is working, right? I hope it is. Yes. Okay, Noor, can you please answer this one?
Sir, the display of the fruits are made with precision and creativity,
Very nice.
and fruit fruit hand polished to a waxy gloss, it conveys that the fruit is like of high quality.
Very good. Okay. Now, so exactly, this is what exactly is the answer, by the way. If you just look at this here, it says artistic, uh, artistic or elaborated shape, care taken, attention to detail, or design or fancy. Okay. And then you said, they're shining and gleaming, or maybe they are impressive and inviting. Okay. And then earlier you said expensive. Okay. So they are costly, luxurious fruits. So this is an artistic way of presenting fruits, and they seems to be very expensive because they're being polished with an expensive shine. Okay. So if you practice 2D, question 2 particularly, you'll be able to get 9 out of 9 in it. There's no rocket science involved in it. It's only about understanding the technique with which we need to go to answer this question. Okay, so we have done 3 questions related to imagery. Okay, now we'll be doing other questions where you will have to understand the intention of the writer. Why is he mentioning it over here? Okay, and you have to decode, look for the connotation, shades of meaning. Okay, now let's do another question here. Okay, okay, this question I'll come towards it later on. Okay, now let's do this one here. Yes. Explain why the writer uses word smothering rather than the word covering in the expression before, like before smothering them with multitudes of signed photographs of film stars. Okay, smother usually, and instead of covering, cover is like, you're wrapping up something. For example, I have mobile phone, I'm going to wrap it with a cover. Okay, for example, I have a notebook with me. Okay, so I use a cover of it. Okay, so that's covering. But when you're using the word smothering, it is actually, um, you know you are writing, scribbling, or maybe you are writing lots of things together. Okay, maybe you're creating a large collage. Okay, and that collage is not even appealing, it's rather, um, quite crowded. Okay, so smothering over here is to do with, uh, totally filling something with no space left. All right, or maybe you can say overcrowded. Smother refers to overcrowd. Okay. Then we have a similar kind of question in another paper. It says, yes. Okay. This is the question here. Explain why the writer used the word mammoth rather than large in the phrase a mammoth door with iron studs. Okay. Similarly, you can see this word I was referring to you, the connotations. Okay. Similarly, the way there are different shades of angry, similarly there are different shades of something being large. Okay, so nice, very nice. Okay, Similarly, there are lots of things which we can use instead of large. When we say large, okay, so when we say mammoth, something is unusually big, all right, something that goes beyond our expectation. Okay, so large may refer to something big, but mammoth over here refers to something very large, extraordinary large. So that is why writer has used the word mammoth instead of large. Okay, making sense? The third one you will be doing on your own. Okay, I'll not be explaining that to you. So there we go. Yes, yeah, there you go. It's easier. It says explain why the writer used the word peer rather than look in the sentence. I peer inside through a small hole in the canvas. Yes, Noor, over to you for this. I unfortunately have to go to you all the time because the other student is not talking. Right?
Yeah, yeah, I should read this.
Yes, please, and answer this as well.
Okay. Explain why the writer used the word peer rather than look in the sentence. I peer inside through a small hole in the canvas. Peer because he took a slight glance instead of seeing it fully.
And when do we peer actually? Peer right now. When we are looking at things with more interest, you know, when we look, when you're driving actually, so usually you're looking everywhere, okay? But you always peer, you critically look at something if it's creating any diversion for you, okay? So look closely, or maybe look carefully, or observing something carefully. Peer refers to observing something carefully. Okay. So, so yeah, observing carefully or looking closely, or looking with interest, or when you are even having difficulty looking into it, so you at times squint. Okay, now there is a question here. We're going to go with the same question here. It's again with the writer's intention. Okay, what is he intended to convey? It says, read this extract sentence from the text. At the edges near the track, canvas tents have popped up like mushrooms. What effect does the writer suggest about the tents by using the phrase popped up like mushrooms? Popped up like mushrooms to describe them. So, what does this expression popped up like mushrooms suggest? So you have to decode writer's intention here. What impression is he trying to convey? Popped up like mushrooms. So how does things pop up? Yes. Do you know how do mushrooms look like? They have an umbrella. Yes. I hope Noor, you're thinking, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I
So popped
think
up.
I
Yeah.
think what it means that it's like in a shape of an umbrella and like it appeared quickly.
Yes. Yes. Very right. Okay. So appeared quickly. All right. Came out of nowhere. Like shoot up, right? So that's and then when we say mushrooms popped up like mushrooms, so we always refer mushrooms with a domed or circular shape. They usually have a circular or domed shape. So there are two marks for it. For that, what you can do, those circulars appeared quickly. Okay, that's how you can answer it. Again, we'll do the similar kind of question here. It says, what is it? Yes, this is the question here. It says, Read this sentence from the text. They were taken to a barn with an earthen floor and lofty ceiling. Chota's new airy home. All right. What effect does the writer suggest about the barn by using the phrase airy home to describe it? You know, airy home. Airy home is to, they were taken to a barn with an earthen floor and lofty ceiling. Chota's new airy home. All right. So, new airy home. Airy home is to do with, something that belongs to you. It's your settlement where you stay there, where you feel um, you know, home. We can refer home to as settle, and airy is to something which is very cool or spacious. Air. Remember air with airy home. Okay, spacious, ventilated, properly ventilated. Okay, so airy home. What does this airy home refers to? A permanent residence of Chota, which is very spacious, which is very comfortable for him. Okay. All right. So this is how you can answer it again, and then we'll move to a similar kind of question here. Yes. Okay, Noor, can you read this one, please?
Invent an oversized stone fountain over the center of the dining room. Father hung a huge glitter ball made of mirrors, which revolved over a tiny dance floor.
And what does the writer want to suggest us about the changes to the restaurant? So, what changes have been made there in the restaurant? I went an oversized stone fountain. Okay, oversized stone fountain. Look at the image over the center of the dining room. Okay, father hung a huge glitter ball made of mirrors, which revolved over a tiny dance floor. What changes have been made?
A new fountain was brought in, which was
Hmm,
by oversized I mean it was really huge,
yes,
and a glitter ball made up of mirror, which was hung revolved. Basically, it was moving.
yeah. Okay. Now you can see father hung a huge glitter ball made up of mirror, which revolved over a tiny dance floor. Okay. Dance floor is tiny, but the glitter ball is very huge. So don't you think it's a mismatch? So it's actually has spoiled the restaurant. Once you read the remaining text, you'll be able to understand it, right? So when you're trying to change, at times it happens in home also. When you're planning to renovate your drawing room, okay, or maybe dining area, so you do multiple innovations. So at times, as being overwhelmed, at times one feels overwhelmed. So they bring something very spacious from outside, something very not spacious, something which is very much attractive. So when you bring it home and you place it somewhere, then you say, "Oh no!" It's instead of adding elegance to the drawing room, it is actually spoiling the rest of the uh, extravagant or luxurious nature of the drawing room. So in that the same case, आप कहते हो नहीं यार ये तो गलत हो गया. This is what has happened over here. So he brought a very big, like you said earlier, very big, you know, glitter ball, okay, which has actually spoiled the restaurant, which has spoiled the restaurant, okay. And the similar question we have there in another paper. I hope this class is helpful, Noor. Is it?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. Now, look at this question here. You look at this question here again. I said, read this extract. Listen, says Camel softly. If you got a life to go back to, I reckon that's what you should do. What does the writer want to suggest to the reader about Camel's feelings towards Jacob at this point in the story? Listen, says Camel softly. So, he says, listen, says Camel softly. If you got a life to go back to, I reckon that's what you should do. What is he feeling for Jacob? We can understand it, right?
Yeah, he's like feeling sympathy for him, and
Yeah,
he wants Jacob to pursue what he wants if he has a
exactly.
life.
Yeah. So yes, exactly. He has affection, compassion. He's concerned. All right. So anything that comes to you, you can write down that one. Okay. Now, this is the kind of question that we usually have, and I've been telling you multiple times in the class as well, that please identify one example which is very short. Usually, people pick up longer sentences, and which is not recommended at all. Now, we'll do this question here. It's to do with identify one example from the text below of how writer uses language effectively to convey the reaction of audience in the big top. You have to look for the reaction of the audience. Brilliantly painted red and gold carriages. Again, this extract that you'll get in paper is going to be very much descriptive. Okay, very much descriptive. So you can easily pick up any example out of it, and but only pick a short phrase. Um, so brilliantly painted red and gold carriages, their sides propped open to reveal lions and tigers, hypnotize the captive audience. Okay, hypnotize the captive audience. Okay, llamas and zebras bringing wild whoops of delight. Okay, the big top is packed solid, glowing and pulsing with the sound of audience laughing. Okay, clapping and whistling. Even this one, pulsing. There are a lot of examples you can pick up. Sometimes there's a collective intake of breath, of ripple, of nervous squeals as trapeze flies by. The elephant looms against the far side wall, an enormous beast the color of storm clouds. She is gargantuan. Her skin is molted and cracked like a scorched riverbed. She trots forward and the crowd erupts with glee. Even this, the crowd erupts with glee. So there are a few more of this which I have not highlighted. You can see, you can pick any short example. So the one I have highlighted of similar size, 2, 3 words, or maybe 4 words, you need to pick up from the sentence, from the extract, and you have to write down in the line that is given there in the question, and then 2 marks are for the explanation. Okay. So, Noor, what could the hypnotize the captive audience mean? If you're picking up this example, what could it mean? Yes, hypnotize the captive audience.
Um, to completely hold the attention of the audience.
Hypnotized. When someone is hypnotizing you, you are under the control of that person, right? It's completely engrossed.
So like completely fascinated or focused.
Yes, yes. And you're not thinking anywhere else. You're only thinking about what is happening there. Okay. And you can see the wild whoops of delight. Wild whoops of delight. Though the people were sitting there, all right, they are humans, but when they see llamas and zebras, this brought the extreme happiness among the audience. Okay. And then you can see there are different explanations for it, right? Hypnotize a captive audience, like you said, amaze, fascinate the audience. They were spellbounded. Okay, they couldn't find any escape. They were powerless to move, or they had never seen anything like this. And again, the wild whoops of delight. You know, um, energy was high. They were enjoying. They had not seen something anything like this. They were completely uncontrolled because wild is to do with uncontrolled. Okay, so this is the kind of explanation you got to do with this kind of question in paper. All right. So moving back to the point from where we have started, that this is how question two in paper one looks like. Okay, you're being usually asked about this question, that how writer use language to convey meaning and create effect. So first thing first, intention. You have to keep in mind that we have to look for the intention. What is right? What is the intention of the writer? The second thing is shades of meaning, connotation. The third thing is impressions, mental images the writer is creating. Okay, and and one thing more you have to look for is there's a question: what is writer suggesting at the moment, at this moment of the story? That is to do with the narrative phase. Narrative phase. All right. Narrators have different phase. Okay. For example, there is a climax. All right, which is a turning point in a story. Turning point in a story. Okay. There could be a struggle, a struggle, struggle that writer, your protagonist protagonist is facing. Okay, all right, or maybe any solution that he might have found, or something exciting is about to happen. So usually this question which is there in the paper, it's about what is writer suggesting at this moment. So you have to read those lines, um, go for their connotative meanings, and then suggest what is the protagonist facing at that moment. So this question is usually about what is a writer suggesting the reader at this moment. So these are the kind of questions that usually come in paper for you. Okay, for example, we'll look at just one question here. Okay, so yeah, this is usually 2A, but they now from past year they have changed the order of the question. So these questions can come any moment of the time, right? And for example, I'll just to show you this here. All right, this question is here right now. What does the writer want to suggest to us about the situation at this point in the story? Okay, like he felt gravity go to zero, the world stopped, move washed the branch of large redwood approach in slow motion and saw his fingers extended towards him. So, what does the writer want to suggest to us about the situation at this point in the story? So, it's like, it's like in an action movie when it goes slow because it's dramatic and it's the turning point of the story. So these kind of questions are part of question two, and I hope with this exercise you'll be able to get good grade, 9 out of 9 in this question. Will you be, inshallah? Noor?
Ameen, sir. Ameen, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what?
Ameen, Ameen.
Inshallah, I mean, 9 out of 9. But you know what? I would suggest with the booklet that I've given you, okay, from that booklet, only attempt question number two and send those to me for review. Okay. Last but not the least, I would again tell you, in order to attempt question number two, you have to do these two things. right now we couldn't read text, but we were able to understand questions, right? And you were able to answer them as well. But would it be a cherry on the top when you read the text and answer the question? So it means in that case you'll be in a better position. ऐसे ही है.
Yes.
अभी तो we couldn't read the questions, right? And we didn't read the extract, but we just looked at the questions. So with this one, I would like to say goodbye to you. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. And I'll arrange another class for you, inshallah, in near future. So we'll practice few more things. Thank
Okay.
you. Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz, Hafiz.
From average to dream grade, join us and transform your learning.